I'm a mother of three children, three young children, and I was married to, I'm a widow of a renowned journalist in Nigeria. My husband was the late This Day journalist, the deputy editor of This Day journalist in Nigeria. He does a lot of investigative work in Nigeria, and based on his work, he does expose a lot of things regarding the government and regarding what is happening. Before he was promoted to that post, he was particularly, his interest was in economic as well as business, so he covers a lot, and most of the time he does expose a lot of factors that could have done better in the fabric of the nation. Prior to this, and before the tragic incident that happened, I think some of my friends could witness, I was the envy of most women. I was married to a man that loved me and that loved people as well. And before the eventual thing that happened, on the 25th of July 2007, the governor of Borno State in the northern part of Nigeria, his name is Modu Ali Cherry, invited him over to the northern part, and that's shortly after the election. But he kept saying no due to work, he was busy, and eventually obliged on that day, and he went. So midway out the way he was, I mean, if you are familiar with Nigeria, we live in the south. We are living in Lagos. He was invited up north in Borno State, and when he got to Abuja, the governor asked him to stop by and, to board on a private jet. But my husband politely rejected that, and he went ahead with the passenger plane. But on getting to Borno State, the governor was not there to receive him. He was received by the deputy governor, and that night he was taken off for a drink that night. And during that course of that night, we were both exchanging text messages, so somehow I have an idea of what and where he was, and we were chatting. Little do I know that was the last step of communication I was having with my husband. And only for me to try to ring sometime, because it's very unusual. Usually, we're in touch, and I tried to ring him several times. He didn't pick his call. I was worried. And not too long ago, I mean, shortly after that, somebody else picked the phone, and I was like, he later caught it, and I was like, what is happening? In my head, I was thinking something has gone wrong. And before now, even before all the incident that happened to me, the governor that invited him recently has been linked to Boko Haram. He's been named as the main sponsor of Boko Haram. At that point, we were not aware, neither did anybody know that is what he was and who he was until recently. Only for me to get, I got a call from the chairman of This Day, very late in the night, quite late, only for him to tell me that, something has happened to my husband, that he took ill. But of course he was lying, he lied. And later in the morning I got calls of some other people. When I saw them, I knew something strange has happened, or something has happened. Only for them to break the news, I couldn't remember. I was about 6 months pregnant with my last baby at that point, and I can't remember what happened. I know that not too long I saw myself in the hospital, and shortly after that I left for America. On getting to America, I stayed there briefly. I stayed with a family friend who hosted us and welcomed us. But when the baby arrived, you should say, where is he now? Somewhere in the crowd. He's 7 years old now. Yeah, I mean, why I have to share this, sometimes we cannot see the impact of what, the single act of somebody's action and how the ripple effect on me, and after having him, I just, the sense of loss and the loneliness, because usually he's there with me in the labor ward. I mean, I just felt so empty. I felt so lonely. I felt like I know everything is still looking so strange. I thought as if I was dreaming. Is it a dream? It's still, but after a while, it became so real to me that really, actually, I've lost my best friend. And, I stayed there afterward. Nobody could fill the vacuum. I was always crying. And shortly after that, I think I spent about 4 months in America, and I came back home. And so my surprise, it's not so surprising. People have moved on with their lives, which is expected. I expect people to move on with their life, but the manner and the way and the mysterious way that my husband died was not dealt with, despite the fact that it was, in the news. They're going to deal with it. Still, this is over 7 years. Nothing, and I'm talking to you, nothing. Rather, the man in question is not just the governor. After he left the governorship, is now like one of the senators of he's a senator in Nigeria. It's only in Nigeria that's, from my own understanding, such thing could happen or it could take place. And lately, this man, Wole Soyinka, which of course later I'm going to read, which I believe some of us know who he is. Yeah. But if you don't know, I'll tell you briefly about him later. And apart from him, there's an Australian, is an Australian, but also is being asked to go and negotiate, which I believe is in the news, that Boko Haram is on the rise in Nigeria. People are being captured. This day newspaper that my husband worked for was also targeted. People, it's just, they are becoming, that's how I know that Boko Haram is gaining more prestige in the country. They are becoming so confident. They want to, it's all politically motivated, killing at hand because they believe they cannot be touched. They are powerful, and truly they are powerful, but before then, after all that, I had to look for, when I came, and I know that, I know I voiced it out briefly while in Nigeria, but I know that any further inquiry could mean I'm endangering my life and the life of my family or my children. So I looked for every opportunity to leave the country. And when the opportunity arose, I came in here to come into the United Kingdom to study biomedical science, a master's degree in biomedical science, which I did. I wanted to do everything possible to ensure that I'm not a liability, or that's what I thought it should be. And after the course, I was given the opportunity to work as a biomedical scientist on 2 fixed contracts with the NHS. But my attempt to seek more, to further renew my visa was denied. And what I really didn't want to do was what triggered my movement here. And I also thought that being away from Nigeria would help me to make further inquiry without endangering my life. And I had to seek asylum, which I believe is really a challenging period. It's been a challenging period for me and the children, traumatic. I would have thought, despite the fact that they didn't question or query that he died a mysterious death, yet I don't know why we're being put through this trauma, being denied, different things that I may not have to say here because of my little children, and but then it's somehow degrading, what we are going through. So it's just the ripple effect on my kids. Sometimes my little boy is asking, where's my dad? How do I answer that? I don't know how to answer that sometimes, and I'm like, this is what happened. Of course, I told my children, I never for once tell them otherwise, but this is what happened. But it's the pain, the trauma, and the tragic effect on the children. It's something that does, to be honest, it crushes me. The way my kids and the way it affects them, even emotionally at school, it's somehow difficult for me to handle. And I've made United Kingdom my home. I've lived here for over 6 years, and my kids are definitely and truly, they feel at home here, and we are trying all we could to ensure that we stay here. And that's why we're in the asylum process, and we hope and believe and pray that you will definitely join us in our pursuit, in our campaign, in this fight and to ensure that we are safe here in United Kingdom. Just to round up, I want to say, before I do that, sorry, hold on please. I just want to read a bit of Wole Soyinka. We all know that my height is getting not as good as it used to be anymore. He was the first African writer to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, and of course, because of his writing, at some certain point, he was imprisoned, because of his work. But I just want to read an excerpt, part of what he wrote recently, talking about the wages of impunity. If you don't mind, just a little paragraph. If you want, you could end with a paragraph. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. All right. From very early beginnings, we warned against the mounting of empty pride to stem a tide that was assuredly moving to inundate the nation that were dismissed as alarmists. We warned the nation that had moved into a state of war. Its people must be mobilized accordingly. The warnings were disregarded, even as slaughter surmounted slaughter. Entire communities wiped out. We all know that entire community in the northern part is unbelievable that in this time and age such a thing is happening and nothing is being done. And rather what we get is whining and wingling up and down and the rocks of leadership and governance. But enough of recriminations, at least for now. Later, there must be full account, which is of what Wole Soyinka says. So what am I saying? I want to thank the organizer of this program for the opportunity to state this and to share a little bit about my life and how can we help. I know they will share that with you by signing up our petition here. Thank you so much for your support and offering your support. It means a lot to me and my kids. Thank you so much.